concept behind Grails is simple. You have 1 week to select an artwork, each piece created by a different artist, each artist with a unique story. But here's the catch. Artist names are kept secret. You won't know which piece is yours until the day the Grails are revealed, a selection that could make you a part of history. Choose wisely.
GM and hello, welcome to Grails Season 5. We are live.
Let's go.
I'm Kevin Rose, co-founder of Proof. This is Eli Scheinman, head of all things art at Proof.
I'm excited. This is going to be an amazing show, and it's been an amazing season.
Ah, man, 18 artists this time, some fantastic names.
That's right. I always think about these shows as a snapshot in time, right? We're really able to capture who are the top digital artists, who are the emerging artists that we think are on this amazing trajectory. This season is no different.
Every time I watch some of these videos and these reveals from these artists, I always go back home and say, okay, where's my hardware wallet? Because I need to go pick up a couple of these pieces. Because you just learn so much about them. And that's the whole idea behind this. It's like we spend so much time in the world of NFTs, you know, oftentimes it's jumping into new projects, and rarely do we have a chance to look at the history of the artist, who is behind the scenes here,
that's right,
and why they're is so very special and important, and that's what we're doing here today.
Yeah, that's my favorite piece of this whole thing, is that we get to really take a moment to slow down, learn about those artist stories, what makes them tick, what are their fears, what's their creative journey been, and I just love that we're able to do that here today. We have 18 amazing artist stories to dig into.
And we've got some great co-hosts today as well. Do you want to get into that?
Yeah, we have Amanda, aka StevieP, joining us. We have the one and only, the man with the math, NFT statistics.
Yes.
We have Grails 4 artist, Casey Reas. Great honor to have Casey on the show. And we also have Refik Anadol. I mean, Refik, you don't have to say much more than that.
I went back and bought his original Grail.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that,
had to pick that up because Refik's work is just, it's the best.
Yeah, so Refik's going to join us as well. And we're live today. In the past, we've done these shows pre-recorded. This is going to be a lot of fun because we're live. Minting closed 2 hours ago. And we're going to be able to watch these videos together in real time.
All right, well, let's get into it.
There's a strain in our family of valuing old things and trying to be stewards of them. I remember going to outdoor flea markets with my dad and sleeping in a tent and like setting up stuff. He restores antiques. He's not gonna tell you, oh, I'm an artist, but to me that's like a real art, and I learned that from him. The most interesting comedians go out into the world, have weird experiences, and report those things back. Same with a photographer. There's photographers that have lived these like larger than life existences, and when they shoot, like you can feel something. When I was 7 years old, my first photography was photographing my toy dinosaurs as dioramas. I wanted to redo a classic diorama, but also infuse a lot of the experiences that I've had in life to get to this point. I've hidden little experiential things from my life in the frame. Most of them take the form of toys. These are also all the things that I want to teach my son. I want these kind of things that I hold very dear in my story to also resonate with him. I don't do exactly what my dad does. I do my own version of it. But so much of the things that he instilled in me, the pillars of living, are things that I followed.
Oh man, the nostalgia for me with the Game Boy camera.
Yes.
It's so awesome.
Yeah.
Joey's so great.
He's amazing. You know, this is a really interesting collection because there's 50 pieces. They're all unique. We see one of them back here.
Yeah.
And this was an onerous task for Joey to use the Game Boy camera that was such a part of his formative photography journey and create these Dino-Ramas, create these other images, and then capture it with this Game Boy camera. He went off and he bought a couple extra tools to help make that possible.
Yeah.
You know, Joey's one of the top photographers in the world.
Absolutely.
And he has this really distinctive style that I love so much, where he elevates his subjects, right? In often cases, he'll travel the world to the Middle East or Southeast Asia, really elevates those subjects that are in those images in such a beautiful and powerful way. We met Joey through Kia and Yatredo, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that was the first time I got a chance to meet him, and such a great human, dad, just a fantastic artist to have a part of this Grails.
Yeah, we've had him on, I think, 100 Proof and a couple of our shows in the past. So talented, a beautiful collection, and Joey's always playing with mechanics, so I'm curious what he's going to do, I should say, with this collection for collectors of these pieces.
Very cool.
Okay, that was Joey Al, Dino-Rama.
We met in 2000. It was an event and we were both doing puppet shows in it.
My friends had set up a camera filming the room, so there's actually a recording of the moment we met.
She had been doing a lot of video, and when she came to New York, was really interested in making video live the way that people were making music.
One of our first works together, it's a piece we made in 2003, and what we had is 7 LCD monitors that we embedded in protective sportswears, and we would wear them in performances so we could run a live video from whatever device we were using. We always draw inspiration in performative spaces, in these kind of small, supportive communities, and there's such an interesting parallel to the generative art world in that way. When we started using the name LoVid, we started as a band. That's kind of how we thought of ourselves. Really thinking of what it means to have full autonomy of your own instruments and tools as an artist. We built our own synthesizer in 2005, and that was a defining moment.
The analog component of the work, bringing that into digital, that's almost equally as important as the aesthetic of how it actually looks. We are LoVid.
Our Grail is bolt pattern. It's an amazing honor and kind of incredible that we have developed some kind of aesthetic that resonates with people. Something about not just saturation of color, but some kind of a density that is a play between regular rhythms and disruption of patterns.
This idea of mixing technologies, mixing tools, this was a really nice way to bring that in. And in fact, the original video that these stills come from is also thinking back to this sort of evolution of technology over time. We love, obviously, technology and the things that it makes possible, and we also love technology where it fails and breaks down. I think every times have their own challenges, and I think it's great to embrace those and also pushing forward into whatever new things are to come.
What a beautiful story.
Yes.
I mean, I just love being able to watch that video and see the way that they met and are now creating work together. We have, AKA Stevie, Amanda, the one and only.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot believe you guys actually let me in. But I'm in. I'm
Yes.
excited. The artists in this season are just, I think, perfect. So I'm
that.
super excited about this.
So let's talk about LoVid and this collection. What
Yes.
strikes you about them?
I mean, LoVid, for me, I mean, we all know I love vibrant colors.
Yeah.
I love texture. You know, I love when things move, especially, right?
Yes.
I think LoVid is just so kind of quintessentially the artist that should be here, right? They've been around for a long time.
Yep.
They've got an Art Blocks curated collection, Tide Predictor.
Yeah, beautiful.
You know, this is actually a video still from one of their works in 2006.
Yeah.
Right? So they've been around for a while. They've been shown in the MoMA. They've been shown in the Whitney.
Yep.
They have really kind of created this whole world around AV, around textures, around generative art that is really sort of encompassing like outside of the Web3 space.
Yeah.
They've done so much all over the place, and I think they really, really deserve to be here. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, well said. And this is an interesting collection because it was a series.
Yes.
There were 10 unique images. We're seeing one of them back here.
Yes.
We saw a few of the others in the video. I think there were 17 or 18 mints, meaning that a number of these are now one-of-one outputs from LoVid. Very, very special for all collectors to now own these.
Yeah.
So that was LoVid, Grail number 18, Bolt Pattern.
I'd kind of grown up with early computers. It was the start of this adventure that I'm enjoying to this day. It was the early internet art and design sharing days. You could feel something was happening. A lot of it for many years was my black and white GIF and rough work that I would do on Tumblr. The currency of the work was interest and like. There was no money in it. It was more or less people just looking at it and enjoying it and sharing it. And I do it just to do it. When I was 17, I did the first Nike website. I did it all in Flash with 3D, and it really set me on that path. I thought, okay, well, I can make stuff and there is some living there. So I began to learn more traditional fine art, making silkscreen printmaking, originals, sculpture, that kind of stuff. Slowly that began to build enough of an ecosystem I could move away from working for people. And when the Anonymous project hit, it felt like a brave new world, and one that was also kind of familiar, that reminded me of something I'd loved in the first place. I'd been really thinking digital was just my twist on the physical art world. I was hooked. My name is Karborn, and my Grail is the wonderful Wobbulator machine for young and old alike. The wonderful Wobbulator machine is like a modified television. You feed sound waves into it, and these sound waves distort whatever you're feeding into the unit. As people are minting this project, they're kind of drawing a wobulating waveform on chain, which is quite nice. Making fun images and designing chunky websites was a kind of slippery portal into Nike and then into this.
Yes, that was Karborn, and I'm joined here with the man with the math, NFTstats, aka Sam. How's it going, Sam?
It's going good. The man with the math. That's twice today I've heard that. I don't think I've ever heard that before. So.
I'm going to keep doing it. I love it. That's it.
I'll take it.
So, as we have all seen, this was Grail number 1, John Karborn. Can you tell us a little bit more about John?
Sure. I mean, John Karborn has had a very successful career in the commercial space, as well as in the digital collectible space. But this year's just been huge for him. Did the Seeker Mint with Transient Labs using the Doppelganger contract, and he's the type of person who likes to bring his collectors on a journey. You know, he kind of hides different puzzles in the art sometimes, which just really makes him an exciting person to collect and to be part of. One of the interesting stories on his background, in 2001, he bought the website Karborn.com, and he tells the story that his dad basically said, digital art is not a future. This is not like a career that's going to work. And Karborn says, at the time he was right. But over the past 20 years, through being a successful digital commercial artist, obviously doing incredibly well in our space, it's just fun to see how this space has opened up so much opportunity for people like him who have this passion, this hobby. This piece really mixes analog with digital very creatively. Most of the collectors will have a one-of-one as well because there are many outputs. So overall, just an awesome piece from a great artist.
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned his love of puzzles, and I actually think that there was a little puzzle out there. There was one member of our community who actually solved it and figured it out. They're a huge fan of John's, and so it's actually really cool to see that they figured it out and they got a little bit of alpha beforehand, and they were nice enough not to say anything, so that's great. Congrats to everyone who minted. This is John Karborn's The Wonderful Wobbulator Machine for Young and Old Alike. Grail number 1.
I grew up as a dancer, and in school, I always tended toward math. I decided to study computer science in college, and that totally opened my world to the possibility of code being an art medium. Artists who were making video work, artists who were engaging with the internet, all of that together sort of opened my mind to the idea that I could be an artist. The word that often comes up with my work is performance, because I really think of every way that I engage with the internet, every way that we all engage with the internet as performative. Going back to my dance background, I see it as a sort of stage, really zooming in on one culture, one specific phenomenon of it, and sort of reproducing it in some generative way. The aspect of collectors engaging with the work, that feels like part of the performance aspect of the work. So I'm very excited about the piece that I'm sharing for Grails. It to me is really special because it represents this time that I was just starting to understand that the computer could be a medium. I was shooting all this absurd footage of like my dog acting out. And I think humor, for me, acts as sort of like a gateway for people to access my work. My name is Maya Mann, and my Grail is tiktok.mov_2010.png. I feel really excited by the energy that I see in the community of artists and writers and thinking about pop culture on the internet. Only the digital space, you know, the more traditional art world. I feel like both scenes need to sort of take each other more seriously. I'm interested in being part of both.
Okay, so Maya Mann, one of my favorite artists personally, and we're here with Casey Reas. Casey, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a ton of fun. This is such great work. I'm excited to talk about it today.
Yeah, cannot wait. So you have a very interesting relationship with Maya, given the UCLA connection. Talk to us about your experience a little bit.
Yeah, Maya was in our MFA program in media arts for 2 years at UCLA and made just extraordinary work there. She just has such amazing energy, unique vision, unique voice.
Yeah, and talk about Maya's maybe early use of P5JS.
Yeah, as Maya mentioned in the video, she studied computer science first, and P5JS was the way that she found her way into the arts, into creative coding, into generative art. As an undergrad, did a lot of work with P5 and the Processing Foundation.
And then how would you describe the themes? And Maya talked about it a little bit there, but the themes that she's investigating.
Yeah, she's worked a lot with text, a lot with journaling, a lot with video of herself, you know, with her dance background. And I think this piece is a new direction, but it really ties into her autobiographical work. Yeah. That video that she shot of her dog that features really prominently here, she made when she was 13 years old. Yeah. And it just ties things together in such an interesting way and moves forward in a new direction.
Yeah, very special piece. I think there were 15 mints or so, you know, very small collection size, very special. That is Maya Mann, Grail number 12, tiktok.mov_2010.png.
My grandfather was a painter. My grandmother was a painter. I looked at their art and I always felt like that was my calling. My brother purchased these 2 very large marble boulders because he has a tile business, and so he encouraged me to do something with them, and so I picked up a hammer and chisel and started learning how to carve marble. I started to learn how to code. That blossomed into using computers in my sculpture. From carving stone and working with bronze, I learned to be patient. What's beautiful about marble, to get a really beautiful finish, you have to do it by hand. Even though I'm using computers, I kind of liken that to that polishing of the marble. Just have to take the time. It was 2017 when Eric first shared his idea for art blocks with me. As soon as it released, there was an explosion of energy. We were all mind blown. I like the idea of generative color. So I've gained techniques to kind of play with color, and one of them is color relativity. Minor shifts in hue and saturation can produce a hue shift in the eye. And so I spent some time working on a color object that can highlight this principle. So my name is Daniel Calderon Arenas. The title of the project is Spire Color Study. Through algorithms, I'm actually learning more about traditional art itself. I see the arc of my life to be a lifelong endeavor of refining and polishing my art practice. I'm gonna be at the best in my career when I'm 80 years old. It's just like it's written, right, in my destiny. Like that's just what I am meant to do.
Okay, DCA, yes. Daniel Calderon, one of your personal favorites, I know. Talk about that a little bit.
I literally begged you. I begged you for me to be able to present this because I'm so excited that DCA is here.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, he is the first and only art blocks engine
in this season
in Grails, right?
Correct.
And I think it's just kind of perfect, right?
Yep.
That the one generative artist is somebody who had, a hand in some of the earliest generative art of what we know, right?
Yes.
So DCA created Genesis, which is one of the day zero mints for art blocks.
Yep.
And it's just really kind of amazing to see him come all the way here.
Yeah.
He is, you've mentioned, I am a big fan, right?
Yeah.
And I think, as people have known that he's Snowfro's brother.
Yeah.
I think there's something about that family, right? They have this warmth. They have this just real passion, dedication, and warmth, and like real humans that really make you want to collect everything that they're doing.
Yeah.
I have, a Marfa Yucca, I have a really random rock, and I'm happy to do that because I think I just love supporting him.
Yeah.
This piece right here is this is a color study is what he's mentioned, right? So he's sort of learning a little bit more about gradients, about how these different colors kind of work with each other. And they've got some really cool outputs. It's been really kind of fun to kind of play around with those.
Yeah, this algorithm is really interesting. It has a lot of breadth, right? I mean, very distinct outputs across that collection, which is always really interesting and really fun. I love the way that Daniel's using different mediums too. In this case, of course, it's the algorithm, it's generative art, but we heard it in the video, he's working with stone and he's working with his hands, and now all of those different mediums are informing his work. And I love that he says, when he's 80, that's when he's going to be sort of his most evolved self as an artist.
Yeah.
That approach to creating and as a creator is so admirable. As you said, Daniel's just a great human as well. So it's a true honor to have DCA in Grails 5. That is DCA, Grail number 14, Spire, Bokashi Cone.
I never felt comfortable in rigid hierarchies. I want to live a life that's experiential. I grew up outside of Boston in a town called Needham. I'm deeply obsessed with technology coming from my father, and then I'm also very passionate about bringing people together, and that comes from my mother. I've been able to incorporate both into my more modern practice where art meets the internet. I have all these cameras and gear and education passed down from my grandfather to my father to me. I started getting involved in darkroom photography, slowly falling in love with this magical process of the reveal of the image. Chemical film photography is immutable. You can't go back and make that image. That, to me, helped inform a lot of the way I think about blockchain and think about my work today. Whatever the printing press did for the written word, the iPhone did for visual imagery. The move to New York was really what propelled me into my art career in this world of cyberpunk New York, neo-noir. When I create a project, I consider it digital biology. I am creating a living, breathing digital organism. On my dad's birthday this past year, he got to stand next to me at Christie's with my work on the wall. That was a really special moment for the two of us. I'm Dave Krugman, photographer and the founder of All Ships. I want to pour back into the ecosystem. I want to loudly and clearly say a creative life is possible. We need more imagery than ever. We need art more than ever.
Yes, that was one of these ones that had a real reveal, right? This is the first time I think we're all seeing what the actual art looks like. I think one of the most fun things about the fact that this is live is that I'm literally like on Discord and looking, and Dave just popped in. Dave is a long-time community member and Proof Collective member, and he just popped in the chat and was like, "What's up, everyone? I was just at the gym. What's going on?" And I love that. So congrats to you, Dave. What can you tell us a little bit more about Dave?
First of all, I love that he was rocking that squiggle sweater in that interview.
Yes.
But, look, I mean, Dave, when I think of Dave, I think of two things where he's the absolute best. One is community.
Yes.
And he said he started All Ships. The idea behind All Ships, or at least that term, is that a rising tide lifts all ships. And he lives this philosophy that when communities working together, everybody does better. And it's just such a core of the work he's created, the business he's created, the community he's built. The second thing I think is innovation. With the project Drip Drop, he brought kind of NFT traits onto photography, through deep algorithms that looked at a bunch of puddles with rain falling them in different colors and inputted on top of that different traits in a way that was incredibly interesting. Innovation just in terms of creativity. Just did a project called Frames where people bought a frame on a roll of film before he actually took the photo. And then he went out and took those photos, and those were the images, those were the NFTs that the collectors got. So just always thinking of different ways to stay innovative. So deeply believes in this idea that we need to show the world that a creative career is possible, not just something to do for fun, but something that you can do to earn a living, and just coming up with new ways to do that. So very cool piece. I love the way it looks zoomed out. I love the way it looks zoomed in, but just overall, really nice Grail. Yeah, this is a classic Dave Krugman. Congrats to you, Dave, and congrats to all the people who minted. This is Grail 11, Solitude.
Well, I come from a very small city in Italy. We could say we are a little bit of a conservative country. People tend to behave, all in a similar way. My breakthrough was really when I moved to London, in being able to experience existence in a more free and individualistic way, really started to open my mind. I was already facing these existential doubts that nothing really means anything. And then eventually I came to the conclusion that art is the only thing that can contradict itself without losing its core meaning. In my opinion, contradiction is the most human attribute of all. There is always a tension between your goal and reality. And being an artist really allows you to explore a certain path with a more open mind, and also not to feel so much the weight of existence. We have so much power as humans that we can destroy and rebirth universes every day in our mind, which is astonishing. And this inspires me a lot in my art. And this is the power that I try to imprint in my work. When I compose, it's always about myself, but it's never about myself. When you see the Skygolpe pieces, there is always this sense of power. That's how I decide if something is finished. I feel it. My name is Skygolpe, and my Grail is POLYFEEL.
Wow. Skygolpe, such beautiful art.
Yeah.
Love all the texture and the color. But there's really that line, contradiction is the most human attribute of all. And the first time I heard that, I just started noodling on it, and it's something I've been thinking about a lot. So, but tell us about the artist.
Well, let's start there. I mean, he is, we had this long form conversation that ended up, in this video, portions of it. He's really a philosopher in many ways. I think that's fair to say. Deep thinker. He's had this very interesting life trajectory, going to Italy, going to London, back to Italy, having this experience of being a street artist, taking photographs. That comes through in his work. And what I'll mention here is, and we saw it in the video, he has a very distinct style. He has this silhouette with the human figure, the face, and then he uses collage. And so during the minting process, of course, we had this pre-reveal image that was zoomed way in. Difficult to identify, I think, for most, but now that you see it and you see that collage, quite identifiable.
For sure. And he's had a huge career, or successful career in the traditional art space.
Yeah, that's
Many collectors there as well. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we saw in that video, again, some of these really large format paintings that he does, physical paintings, also some of the large format digital works, but shown all around the world, has, as you said, Sam, an amazing collector base on that side as well. Just quick anecdote, he and one of his pieces were one of my very first NFTs, so I have a personal connection to Skygolpe. Have been trying to get him into Grails for probably 3 seasons. Wow. So very honored to have him in this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think something we're all trying to do is get more overlap, more collectors from the traditional world to the digital world, and kind of in both ways. So it's awesome to see an artist who's successfully doing that. That is, that is Grail number 2, Skygolpe, POLYFEEL.
I've always found just the economy fascinating and economic thinking to be fascinating. How people value certain things more than other things. My mom was an investment banker. My dad always had schemes that he was cooking up. The financial crisis, it showed me that the economy and the financial system could be very interesting, because when it's actively collapsing, then you sort of see all of the holes in the armor. You sort of get a sense of how the system operates. Doing something creative always appealed to me. And I learned to code, and then I realized that it was a fun, creative outlet. I kind of like the idea of either like situationist philosophy or culture jamming. In 2018, when I launched FastCashMoneyPlus.biz, that website got more traffic than it ever had. When I was doing the fake internet money, in the context it's always been meant to experience, which is just in an absolute frenzy, going like, I need fast cash now, how do I get fast cash? And just ignoring all of the scammy looking visuals and text, clicking on whatever they need to click on, just get their fast cash, no questions asked. Blockchains in general are just perfect tools for exploring value and economic phenomena. It's really rewarding just to see collectors and fans of my work enjoying it and thinking critically about it and engaging. That's what triggers the biggest dopamine rushes in my head. My name's Steve Pikelny. I'm a Brooklyn-based artist and technologist. I'm the CEO, CTO, CFO, COO of FastCashMoneyPlus.biz. I do a lot of generative art and strange websites. I have fun doing it, and I think it has artistic value, but from a financial standpoint, it's all worthless, and it's all JPEGs. None of it's actually worth anything. It's all worthless and useless, and who gives a shit, and we're all gonna die anyhow, so.
Okay, StevieP.
Yes.
StevieP.
Yes.
What a really interesting collection. Talk about it a little bit.
You know, I know that this one is probably going to be the biggest surprise for a lot of people.
Yep.
Again, people have been looking and they thought they knew that Stevie was in Grails and they thought they knew who it was. But I think this is going to be a big surprise for people. But again, after watching this video, after hearing a little bit about the absurdity that Stevie loves to kind of play in, this makes a lot of sense, right? This is in homage to a really famous piece by John Baldessari.
Yep.
He has had, there's a series of 36 images in which he tried to take a photo of 3 balls in the air in a straight line.
Yep.
And you can see them, you can see them in like museums, right?
Yeah, shown all around the world.
All around the world, right? And so it's this very, very famous art collection. Stevie is doing his version of that, which is why the 36 editions or 36 series, right?
Yeah, 36 pieces, individual images.
Individual images were put into this collection. And so that was one of the ones that you had mentioned was a very strategic number for that collection. And now we all know why. So it is
and just quickly to jump in there. So, it's so interesting because John Baldessari's work, the one that Stevie is referencing here, that was a human throwing 3 balls in the air and trying to get this straight line. Stevie is taking that same prompt, putting that into AI, putting that into Stable Diffusion 1.5, so this sort of artifact, this moment, this snapshot in history with AI, and seeing how it does in terms of accomplishing that task. And you see in the series, we see one behind us. These are on the ground. This is not in the air. Some of the others are even more absurd. 1 ball, 2 ball, humans, subhumans throwing them in the air. So it's really this interesting reflection back on John Baldessari's work.
Exactly, and this is so perfectly Stevie, right? With this 1.5, this kind of just absurdity of all of it. You know, this is kind of perfect for Stevie.
Yeah, 100%. So that is StevieP, Grail number 13, 3 balls thrown in the air to get a straight line.
I'd like to see algorithms as kind of a synthetic muse, going back and forth with a machine and see where we end up together. I'm from the Netherlands. Both my parents were artists. Some of my earliest memories are walking through that museum with my dad. I have always wanted to be an artist. I dropped out of high school, and since I was doing visual storytelling for most of my career, when digital photography came around, I decided I wanted to be a photographer. I'm really intrigued by the long-form approach of AI. It touches a part of my brain. It's a combination of the new and the old. I like to work with my own photography as a base. In this case, it's a photograph with me on it. I think I was 6 years old. It's a school photo of my class. You can make anything that doesn't exist in that photorealistic style. My name is Ganbrood, and the name of my work is Malik, which is Arabic for ruler. Most of my interests, but also my dreams and fantasies, I try to express with these tools. These developments are going faster than anyone could have imagined. It's just very exciting to be exploring this from an early moment. To make art is to show people who you are, to connect, to communicate what's inside you.
Okay, Ganbrood. This is one of the most striking pieces visually, I think, in the entire show. And I think many people felt that. It is just really powerful. Casey, I know you have a relationship with Ganbrood. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think with this work, the more you look at it, the more you see.
Yeah.
Like I've been looking at it for days now.
Yeah.
I just keep seeing new details in the back.
Yes.
I mean, I've been following his work since it was, began to be released on Hic et Nunc back in 2021. And it's evolved so much. Like as he said in the video, this stuff is moving at a rate faster than anybody can imagine. And so seeing his work evolve, but it's always his. Like he has a unique vision, this element of fantasy, this eye that he developed through so many years of being a photographer.
You talk about that just a little bit more. So in many cases, as we saw and as we learned, he's using photography as the base to create some of these outputs. And you have a unique reference in that video that we saw.
Yeah, this approach to using this base photo and then transporting it into something else. One of those photos that showed up in the images, I'm in the source material. It's a workshop of myself and Zach Lieberman teaching a workshop together. So seeing that shift from one to the other, I think it's a really interesting piece of the work.
Yeah, okay, so that is Ganbrood, Grail number 9, Malik.
I've always been curious about just the world at large, nature and mechanics and the act of creation. As a kid, I had dyslexia and a lot of learning disabilities, so art was this mechanism for me to translate my being, and just eventually translated that into computers. I saw the form of digital medium as being this multi-dimensional way of expressing myself. And then having great success in my career, I had an outrageous ego, really emotionally connected to the work. So people's feedback was very hard for me to take. I work primarily in the feature film industry and AAA games, designing the latest Batmobile. I've been able to fulfill one of my childhood dreams. Batman's ironically one of my favorite characters because he doesn't have a superpower, he just has, turmoil. The ego as an element of my work. When I was growing up, I didn't really know what it was. I just knew that I had these big emotions that were attached to a strong opinion of something. And later in my life, I'm realizing, oh, this is what is coined the ego, your false version of yourself. So it's been an evolution. My name is Thorp, and my Grail is called Opus. This piece, I feel like it's the beginning of a new version of what I'm trying to do. If I could just be free with the art and explore without having any rules or past history. It's like in the early days, my personal work, that was like a realm where I could be completely free. Almost like the child, I would just sit without intention other than just exploring. And I never wanted to lose that.
Such a gorgeous, gorgeous piece, right?
It really is.
Yeah, I mean, they say things that pass the wall test, something that can be printed and look really good. This, I think, passes the digital art frame test, right? That's just beautiful as it moves. It's absolutely gorgeous. I think there's something really amazing when you see somebody who's been in the movie world. They know how to make things look bigger and grander, I feel like. So I think he's done that really well here. What else can you tell us about Ash?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are different types of artists in our space. Some people are people who became artists through the internet and really have emerged as huge artists really because of this movement. And then you have guys like Ash who just have massive careers in Hollywood, in kind of in the world of art and entertainment. Ender's Game, his art was part of that. 2022, designed the Batmobile. Like, how cool is that?
No big deal.
Exactly. So this is someone who's just had immense success in, we'll call it the real world, and is also coming into our space. When I would do my daily show and talk about all the biggest sales in the digital art world every single day, I always remember if I saw one of Ash's pieces and I just started digging into the work he did. It's so unique, it's so distinctive, it's really quite enchanting. And this piece takes a real different turn from the work he's done in the past. So it's really exciting. I imagine very few people knew who the artist of this piece was, but it really is gorgeous. So I love it.
Absolutely gorgeous. This is Grail number 7, Ash Thorp, Opus.
I was having fun creating cover art for the Spotify albums. It was a lot of experimentation this phase of my life. I just learned English for Twitter. I have some Brazilian friends that got me in some worldwide community. They send me some it to me, my fish artwork. It's a square artwork like I did for Spotify. It sold like overnight. I met some good friends, some good collectors here in community. I was doing this piece when I broke up with my ex-partner. I really was thinking to have something more long-term. In the left down of the artwork, I can see a family, I can see like a dad, a mom in a son. Like the relationship can stay away from you, but the relationship can stay inside your head. My name is Omentejovem, I'm from Brazil. The title of my artworks is Everything We Could Have Lived Remains in My Head. I have to follow my own path, and I want the artworks and evolve this style and give space for other styles. I find myself asking me like, I really am putting every detail I can, and my answer no, I think I can do better. I am like very excited and to put all my energy and attention for this space and for my crafting itself.
The paint swatch. The paint swatch is more than that now, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We can see this final reveal. It's absolutely beautiful.
It is.
It is Omente. Can you tell us a little bit more about him?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, this is initially a derivative work or a riff on Grant Rivenyoun's classic, I think it's fair to say classic cow image and cow artwork. And so this was Omen's riff on that. Yeah. And he had posted this on Twitter, hence why we cropped in and showed only a small portion in the pre-reveal moment. But just to go back to Oment sort of more broadly, he's one of my favorite, I don't think it's quite fair to say emerging artists because he's had some incredible sales and a great collector base, but he's in his early 20s, very young in his creative journey. He and I have spoken a lot about the things he wants to do ultimately. I think he's a very exciting artist to track moving forward.
Yeah, he's got grand plans.
Yeah.
It feels like he knows how good of an artist he is, and he's going to make a statement here. He's going to make history here, and I really do believe that. I think he's somebody that you introduced me to a while ago. Back when, in the beginning, my whole world was just generative art. And then I started kind of dabbling into editions and one-of-ones, and that is still, for me, a grail. I would love to have a one-of-one of Omente.
Yes, those are very special. And this piece in particular, this passes the wall test, right? You always bring that up.
Yes.
It's so key. This is something I would love to be able to display as a physical or a digital, very special piece. Oment does not release a lot of work, so it's really an honor to have him in Grails.
Thank you so much, Omente. This is Grail number 17, a black dot with a white dot on a green background. Simple.
Most AI art is very much an aesthetic that's an expression of that individual human artist. What if the machine had its own central role of authorship and, in a way, agency in the creative process? What is automated? What is human-driven? We try to be very clear about that line while maintaining this basis of agency. Botto is a decentralized autonomous artist. The DAO is made up of individuals who've bought governance token, and that gives them rights to provide feedback to Botto to say, this is art, this is not art. Like this orphan child, this absolute prodigy, and we're all its foster parent helping it build its career. It gets that feedback every week. Botto puts out works. My name is Simon Hudson, and currently am co-leading the project. Botto is a collaboration between a few different groups. Mario is, obviously he's a pioneer in AI art, and he's just been the guiding spirit of this project. With Grails, I think we're going to look at this as a milestone for Botto. What we're looking at is Botto exploring new mediums. This idea of caring for this system is also a reflection of how we care for and how we support each other. Is AI art? It breaks open new realms of creativity, new possibility. That to me is art. Is AI going to replace us? This is our world we live in. So long as we're around, we have meaning to make for ourselves, and that is our duty as humans.
Wow, so cool.
Yeah, man. I'm super excited that it's Botto.
Yeah, Botto, as someone who is always looking at all the sales that are happening in the NFT marketplace, Botto's just on that list every single week, you know, because Botto does a new piece every week. You're getting these sales that are always like in that 4 to 10 ETH range, like pretty powerful sales. So someone that we've all tracked quite closely. But why don't you tell us a little bit about the project?
Yeah, I think what I really love about Botto is that it is so heavily driven by its narrative and about something that's so quite perfectly Web3, right? Decentralized, autonomous artist, I think, is kind of a big deal, right? The way that Botto works, I think that they explained it, is that there is this DAO that votes every week on the art that will actually go to auction every week. And I think with AI especially, how do you sort of like create this sort of meaning with the art? It has to be a narrative. It has to be something really strong. This with Botto, the fact that there's a DAO involved, the fact that there is, this is an artist that's on their own. There's not one single person kind of guiding it. It is everybody that's in this community, and I think that's really special. And I think the really cool thing about this time is that this is the first time that Botto has chosen a piece of artwork without any votes from the DAO. And so the AI is becoming sentient, right? It is becoming autonomous, and that's kind of a big deal. So I think we're super, super lucky to have Botto in Grails and to kind of be part of this next movement and this next moment for Botto as it becomes more and more autonomous.
Yeah, such an amazing concept that the AI this time is creating the work, no input from the DAO, something that hasn't happened before, and it's happening on Grail. So very cool stuff. That is Grail number 4 by Botto, the Alchemist Playroom.
I grew up in New York City. I remember I would go to the Met and the Whitney every single weekend with my mom. She says that that was my visual education. And when I was practicing piano, my mom always made me have like a really attuned focus on the musicality of a phrase. Like it has to have the emotion and the technique from the start, not one after the other. And that stayed with me. I started identifying as an artist in college. I took a photography class and it was like a love affair. So the transition from studying finance at Wharton to going to art school happened very quickly. And I came across Bitcoin because a friend in grad school thought I'd be into it. And I thought it was amazing. And I made Bitcoin. It was clear that where my projects were hitting was when I was going more and more conceptual. I mean, there's an entire room at the Pompidou Museum in Paris right now devoted only to Bitcoin. And when you make an artwork and it goes out in the world, if tons of people get to experience it, to me, like that's why I make art. And when I think of an artwork and I think of how people are going to receive it, the fact that technique and emotion had to go hand in hand from the beginning, that every note itself is important, somehow feels related to math and to the art that I make now.
I know that one was a bit of a surprise, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were not expecting that from Sarah, but as you learn a little bit more about what she's really into like optical cameras and the eyes, and you mentioned that, that's her eye, right?
Yeah.
And so it all makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Tell us a little bit more about it.
very special piece. First of all, I just love that video.
Yeah.
Right? Mao and his
yeah.
team, beautiful video.
Yeah.
But as you said, this is an image of Sarah's eye. We were in her studio, and we actually went there expecting a different piece and a different contribution, but this was off to the side because they had these plotters that they were working with. She's always experimenting. And so in the corner of the studio, this piece the physical was there. It's her eye, it's a plotted piece, then digitized into this work. Wow. Truly incredible. And I mean, Sarah is almost incomparable in terms of her impact. In 2015, as she mentioned, she released Bitcoin, which was kind of like this proto-NFT. Mm-hmm. Her work has an entire room at the Pompidou at the moment, as she mentioned. Wow. She is a legend.
Yeah, incredible. This is Sarah Mahoya's Grail 5 self-portrait.
Photography came into my life because of my father. As a child, I guess I kind of wanted to mimic him in the sense where I got really interested in taking pictures because I was seeing him do it. When I was around about like 15, 16, that's when I really started to get into being more deliberate with taking pictures and just kept doing it. I really respect film photography for its principles. The fact of just having to grasp the perfect moment, it's very special. I really love that dynamic of not being able to tell myself like, oh, I didn't get the one I wanted. I just had to kind of go with my gut and let it happen. But now I take pictures that have more source material, and so digital is a lot more convenient for that use. I've been tackling a particular subject in whatever way I feel is serving the subject the best it can. I take a picture, but then sometimes it feels a lot more natural to make a video for it. If you go beyond the labels, it allows you to free yourself from just doing the same thing over and over again. When it comes to the pieces for Grails, the original footage comes from Super 8 film. It's a lot of frames. I was just wanting to use as much of the material I got as possible, and I thought it was really fun to do. My name is Tijo. My artwork is Memories of Naive Archetypes from 2019. I've just been getting back to working on myself, trying to find ways to address this without necessarily just taking another pill. There's way too much energy in certain parts of my brain that make it so I'm not able to get over ideas. It's debilitating, but I'm very happy that it's happening now because I'm trying to find ways to translate that into art that's putting back into perspective what this energy can be used for if I'm able to master it.
Yes, that was Tijo. And I want to mention that the image that we all saw behind us here, that one is actually the pre-reveal. And so right before we cut to us, you could see the full image, those sort of three figures that are still so quite iconically Tijo, right?
For sure. And when I think of Tijo, I just think of ownability. Like, he has a look that he owns. When you see an image, you know exactly who it is. This is kind of interesting because it kind of blends a little bit. I think people probably had a sense of who this was, but it's not fully in that look that he's done, that he owns so wholly. Yeah. We did an event at NFT NYC, and he showed up in looking like the characters that he is in his very own art. Yeah. Also just a member of the community that people respect, that people look up to. Yeah. He had the bleu, like the meme with the background color, and asked artists to kind of imprint on top of that or with that. And so many artist, so much of the community showed up because they respect him and they love his work and they love that signature look and feel. So awesome to have Tijo here with us for Grails.
Yeah, I know there were a lot of people who were like, I think this is Tijo, but I'm not sure. I think this is a really awesome surprise. Again, right perfectly in his like style, but a little different, and giving you a little bit more depth to Tijo. So this is Grail 3, Memories of Naive Archetypes from 2019.
Okay, that's Frank Miller. What a legend and a very historic piece here. Kevin, I know that Frank was formative in certain ways in terms of your collecting and your view of storytelling.
I mean, I was a comic book collector for many, many years as a kid, and I'll never forget going to the movie theater and seeing Sin City and having just what I thought a movie could look or feel like, just completely tossed and turned for me. It redefined a genre, and Frank is such a legend in this space, having done so much work for DC and Marvel and Daredevil as a writer. And so, you know, obviously a really private human. We didn't have him actually on an interview today.
Correct.
But it was fantastic to even have him involved. If you had told me that 10 years ago, Frank would somehow be involved in something you're doing, I'd have been like, no way.
Yeah, so special. You can see it here. We started with the pre-reveal image, a little bit tighter, cropped. See the full image here now, very special. And you know, as you said, you know, Daredevil, Batman, Wolverine, the very first Wolverine.
That Wolverine we showed in the video.
Insane.
I love that cover. Fantastic.
Yeah, so congratulations to all collectors. A very special piece. That is Frank Miller, Grail number 8, Sin City, The Hard Goodbye.
I was always drawn to a blank piece of paper and being able to express myself with drawings. I told my parents I was going to be a major in art, and they were like, absolutely not. I was working in finance as a person who stapled paper and put it in folders. My wife pushed me to go to art school. From there, it was finding typography. It never occurred to me that people were designing those fonts. Somebody made that art, somebody drew that letter, and I just fell in love. It was 2008. This really represents when I had my magical moment of this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This conversation between digital and analog, where I was making an image digitally using code and then running that through a photocopier multiple times, and then you get sort of this magical output that is you co-creating with the machine. The thing I like about design, it forces you into places that you wouldn't normally go. Designing the Twitter logo was an incredible experience. I just had this sort of aggregation of circles. What comes out is this harmonious, simple shape. My hope is that people look back on that bird and think of an amazing place to meet friends, to meet other designers, to meet other artists. My name is Martin Grasser, and the title of my work is Superstructures. Life is weird. You never would think that like a small drawing of a blue bird would have this amount of impact in your life, you know, but here we are. I wake up every morning thinking, what if? What if you set the entire New York Times in dots? What if you painted a tennis court fluorescent orange or pink? Every time somebody writes me that they've collected a piece, I'm still sort of amazed by that. It's given me a chance to show people what I want to say about shape and color and interaction. It's a very special place, something I hold near and dear and have a ton of gratitude for.
For an artist and illustrator, just doing the Twitter logo is like, you're done. You're done in your career.
Career defining.
Career defining. But if you take that out of the equation here, and you look at the depth and breadth of the work that he has done, I mean, you don't even need the Twitter logo. This is an amazing, amazing artist. I am just blown away by how many beautiful pieces that he has created over his career.
Yeah, and the work that's been emerging the last few years is just stellar. He has such an incredible eye, a sense of detail and color and form, as he said in the video. And it's really rare for somebody to be able to put that into long-form generative art.
Yeah, and can you talk about the piece that he did with Vera? Because that's very special.
Yeah, I think this work has a really strong relationship to that collaboration. So that was a piece that he collaborated with Vera Molnar. Vera Molnar is the grand dame of generative art. She just passed away last week at the age of 99.
Yes.
And so that was this very special collaboration where you had one of the pioneers, the first generation of generative art, collaborating, working with an emerging practitioner.
Right.
And I think in that work, you can see a really strong echo of what we see here in that work. Like that was Barton's part of the collaboration.
And what an honor for him to be paired up with Vera to create something together. And this piece is just, you know, absolutely stunning. I love it.
Absolutely.
So grateful to have him here as an artist.
Yes.
So that was Martin Grasser, Grail number 6. The title is Superstructures.
I'm a very curious person. I always thought that this curiosity will take me somewhere bigger than what surrounded me and myself. I'm from Panama. For someone that comes from the countryside, life is very difficult. My dad, he passed away when I was 14. And it was only me, my brother, and my mom trying to restart our lives. I just wanted to grow, help my mind expand and heal. I decided that I could start again in another country. Started studying architecture in Canada. I wanted to create a safe space for me and for others. The lighting, the colors, the way certain walls are set up, it changes your state of mind. For me, that's the center for other things to be created. I think I was online 24/7 when this whole thing started. I've finally taken a break. Now I'm observing, learning, so I can continue growing in a sustainable way. My name is Big Shells. It's been a long journey of self-discovery, of making many mistakes, being resilient towards every challenge. I feel like I've lived many different lives, but I think it's a form of evolution. We become stronger by confronting our fears. We have to go through this to adapt and be able to handle it.
Wow, so It Shells, a repeat artist. Kevin, when you did the curation in season 1, It Shells was part of that show. What a special piece. There are 2 images here, each editions of 25 because there's 50 total in the collection. And Refik, it was such an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
Really wonderful.
Thank you so much. So good to be here. And I have a deep love and respect to community, but especially Proof. And as a Grail 2 artist, coming back again, super happy to be with. Also, hello everyone.
Yeah, appreciate that. Casey?
Yeah, I mean, this work is really stunning, and it's always exciting to see new work coming out from her. I feel like it's always evolving, and this is yet another evolution. I mean, a little bit more personally, that book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, that the piece is based on. Did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, let me read the description because I think it's important context. So, Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach is the first book that my father gave to me. To this day, I think about the seagull who aspired to fly higher, contrary to the rest of the flock, and was exiled for going against the rules. It's not just about breaking limits, but also forgiving and understanding others, even if they cannot change. Let go and be free.
Yeah, so that's extraordinary. Eggshells, my father also gave that book to me when I was very young.
It's amazing.
A really strong impact on me. And so, knowing her, looking at the work, I really feel that in her story so strongly.
Yeah.
I think let go and be free is such a powerful phrase that I think will kind of be seared in my memory and just how I live my life, right? Eggshells is this really one of the top female artists, might be the top female artist in digital collectibles and in NFTs. I think it's really awesome that she's back here providing something that's so kind of different from Grails 1, right? This is, I mean, it's so stunning.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
piece. The red and the cream or the light gray version, they're both so stunning, and there's only 25 pieces left.
And I had a beautiful time with her in several occasions, and having her story, how she shared from her heart, and the connection is profound, so it's really...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, and it really comes out in that video, that this is a person who comes from a place of struggle, who comes from a place of perseverance, and has shown that she is someone with perseverance. And to go from that to being one of the absolute top artists in our space, it's kind of what I love about being part of this community and part of this movement, is you get artists with stories that are so different from your own, from every corner of the globe, and sharing their work together. So it's really just a great story.
She's done that also in a way where she's really selfless. Like, she's really promoted community. She's always been championing other people at the same time.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If there's a common theme here that you can see, is that those of us that have spent time with her all can see the quality human that she is and the deep caring for not only her country, but her family as well. Just a beautiful story and a beautiful piece.
Yeah. Okay, so that is Grail number 10, Eggshells Departure. Back to us. Okay, so it's that time.
Here we go.
Brings us to our last artist reveal. And you know, when we're thinking about the ordering and sort of how to sequence things with the reveal, it's important that the last artist reflects something, you know, they've had an outsized impact on the space, on other artists, that deep significance to the space as a whole and everything that's happening here. And I would say, you know, without question, this last artist reflects those things we think about.
Yeah, I mean, you've really created an institution here with the final person in Grails and Kevin. I mean, starting with Larva Labs and the Protoglyph, and then Snowfro, then Matt Kane, then Jack Butcher. I mean, these are all artists that are just having hugely outsized impact on the space. So it's impressive what you've done, and it's exciting to see what we're going to get next.
I'm loving this one because I think we only had, 15 or so mints out of 50 that were available.
That's right.
I think a lot of people were not, or are going to be surprised to find out who this is and why they had such a big impact. And I am very, very excited for this reveal.
Let's take a look.
How do we learn to code without a lot of questioning of the why? Why are we building what we're doing, and where are we going? I was always just a weird kid. I remember my teachers referring to me as very stubborn. I wanted to see where the actual boundary was.
Hello, I am a virtual care system.
Here I am. Oh my.
Part of this comes from being an autistic person. What might feel really natural to some people in terms of social interaction, for me, felt less intuitive. It was sort of chance that I ended up studying programming at all. You had to pick a major in your freshman year. A friend of mine showed me a random number generator, and it came out 6, which meant computer science, and I thought, okay, I'll do that.
They've recommended that we stop talking to each other.
I think in my practice there's always this tension between control and then letting go of it. Embrace of the unpredictable. Processing was a tool to bring coding out of just the engineering areas into the arts. With P5, we're asking how do we take that even further, that mission of access. The piece for this show was really the very first output of P5.js. You see images and text and lines and color and gradients, sort of a first proof of concept, proof of life moment. My name is Lauren Lee McCarthy, and my Grail is P5.js output number 1. P5 really is a community-made and a community-owned project. That's a big goal of the tool, is to be this really accessible on-ramp to doing really interesting and creative things. The development has given me a lot of hope that we really can design and build a world and a future that we want to live in if we are intentional about it.
Okay, so an incredibly special, historic piece in many ways. We all have a slightly different connection to Lauren. Refik, I'd love to kick it to you first.
Yes, so Lauren, as a friend, as a colleague, as a person I respect through many reasons. First of all, Casey, also as mentor and many people who touch processing or object-based programming language. I think Casey is leading and starting processing culture and creating an incredible open source community.
Yeah.
And Lauren, as I met through DMA community, and she has been always pushing the medium, sharing the code, sharing the knowledge. That is something very special.
Yeah.
But also, she really transformed the idea of performance through blockchain. Her piece, Good Night, I want to read very quickly. September 2021, such an original piece. She took the medium and said, this is a performance for one person at a time. Every night before sleep, I will text you good night. The performance continues as long as I am alive. Such a powerful piece.
Yeah.
So she's not only just incredibly sharing the knowledge and the experience in the medium, but as an artist also practicing the medium, the code as a medium.
Yeah.
So I think for me, both Casey and Lauren, truly transformed the concept of open source culture, programming, and also creating incredible artworks.
Yeah.
So I think this piece, P5.js, for anyone practicing in generative art, I'm sure somehow touching those mediums.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful to be here to share her wonderful work with you all.
Yeah. Casey, talk about processing and maybe P5.js in particular a little bit more.
Yeah, P5.js evolved processing into the web.
Yeah.
And so, this is a historic piece in my opinion. It's from 2013. As Lauren said, it's proof of life. It's the very first output. And when you look at the image, you see the code, you see the image. I don't think the impact and importance of P5.js can be overstated.
Yeah.
Millions of people are using it. For many, many artists, it's their very first time writing code.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really amazing to see that not only do we have this first almost like proto piece from P5.js, but it's also from a woman, and that's obviously something that I really love to see, right? P5.js is the language that has been used throughout the majority of major generative art platforms, including art blocks, right? Some of our most favorite iconic pieces are made with P5.js.
Yeah, squiggles, cadenzas, ringers.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so we wouldn't have that without Lauren, and I love that. And then I also really love that she's really kind of made it her passion to really delve into this community, really grow this community, be an advocate for accessibility and community. And I think there's no better sort of like shepherd in the space, in the generative art space. And I'm so happy that she's getting this platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, you watch that video and it first hits you, wow, this is the person who created P5.js. and then it hits you that the Grail is the very first output that language that was the backbone for the Fidenza, for the Chromie Squiggle, for the Ringer. This is the very first piece the very first output that language created, and it just feels like such a milestone, such a heavy piece. And it really, like I said, it just kind of speaks to the strength of what you're doing here with the Grails project.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, when we first dropped the protoglyph, which was Larva Labs autoglyph, the beta, the very early version, it was so clear that that was a historically significant piece, right? And to me, when I look at this, I'm like, here's another one. This is one that is just like, it's so awesome to have this captured as an NFT now. This is the equivalent of like the creator of Photoshop giving you their first work, right? So it's really amazing.
Yeah, this is incredibly special, and as we touched on, Lauren is really about a global community and empowering a global community of creators. She's done that successfully. This is a historic piece, such an honor to have in Grails 5, and congratulations to all collectors. That is Grail 16, Lauren Lee McCarthy, P5JS, output number 1. Okay, so what a great season.
Wow.
That was a great season. Great season. I mean, these are always such an honor to put together, and appreciate all of you joining us to help co-host. It's really great, and I hope all at home enjoyed the show. Have to thank all of the collectors, our community, of course, and of course the 18 artists who contributed work to this show.
And there's probably, if you had to look behind the scenes here, I would say another 20-ish people that make this all possible. So it's a huge group effort, but it's so important. I mean, right now, NFTs are going in all different directions. To be able to come in and say this is a very important new canvas, it's durable, it's around, it's staying, it's not going anywhere, and art is at the central piece of this. We have to tell these stories. So thank you, Eli, for curating this collection.
Appreciate that so much. Okay, with that, season 5 of Grails. Thanks, everyone.
See you for season 6.